Hola. Ayo. Macho.
Commissioner Weston, distinguished.
And Bulabinaka, and I thank you all for coming out in numbers for us to meet this morning. I have come to see you to explain face to face what we are doing to solve some of the challenges our industry is facing. When I say the industry, of course, I'm talking about sugar. And in particular, to counter some of the lies that are being spread in our sugarcane growing areas in the last couple of weeks about what is happening and what the future holds for us as cane farmers and for the sugar industry. But before I do, I want to say as Prime Minister how pleased I am and pleased and proud I am to be here in Rakiraki with some of the most hard-working people in Fiji. Of course, I'm talking about our sugarcane farmers. Like so many Fijians, many of you in Ra are still recovering from the impact of Cyclone Winston 5 months ago. I know because many of you have told me that you are grateful for the Help for Homes initiative that has rebuilt your homes. This initiative has never been done by any other government. And we have so far spent $88 million on this initiative. We have allocated another $20 million in the new budget year to help those who have missed out in the first round. I know we still have, I still receive a lot of requests and complaints about the issues of the card and especially the development with the issues of the hardware from the hardware shops. But as I've said, we've allocated another $20 million in the new budget year to help those who have missed out in the first round. We have also allocated in the new budget $205 million to rebuild all the schools, the health centers and public facilities, and for agriculture and fisheries rehabilitation. But friends, I'm here today to talk to you about a number of issues that affect you, both personally and as cane farmers. And I do so as someone who takes great pride in improving the circumstances of every ordinary Fijians like yourselves. In order for you to participate equally in the Fijian economy, you first of all had to be treated as equal citizens of the country. And you know that no government, no Prime Minister has ever done that. I did that for you. We are now all called Fijians. In order to, as I said, in order for you to participate equally, you first of all had to be treated as equal citizens of the country, and this is what my government has given you. We also have given you the 2013 Constitution, and under that Constitution, you are no longer second-class citizens. Okay? That's understood by everyone, eh? Inaka. I know many of you are descendants of the Girmit who were subjected to the harshness of conditions. The prejudice Indo-Fijians suffered stretched through colonial times into independent Fiji. Many of you suffered a great deal during the coup of 1987 and 2000. But I'm proud to say that those bad days are gone. Through the Constitution, we have a common and equal citizenry. And we are enjoying equal rights has been very important, and enjoying equal rights has been very important for human dignity and the lives of every Fijian. Now that everyone is equal in the eyes of our supreme law, when you give people assistance, it also has to be given equally, on the basis of merit, and especially on the basis of need. To improve the lives of every Fijian, my government is spending a great deal of money on roads, on water, on electricity, and other services. I know some of you may still not have access to electricity or piped water. We are working on those. We've got Water Authority and the LTA working and FEA working full-time to bring about those, bring about water and electricity and road to you. But many of you also now enjoy these services for the first time. And my government will continue its program of extending them as many people as possible across the country. We have also provided a lot of money for education, free schooling and scholarships, and tertiary loans to enable many of our young people, your children and grandchildren, to gain access to higher learning. These qualifications are opening up all sorts of possibilities for these people to get better jobs, start their own business, and participate in wider economy. We have also given low-income earners access to free medicine and given elderly pensions for the first time. So what we're trying to do is produce a fairer society, and we are producing a fairer society. A more equal society in which even the poorest family has an opportunity to improve its circumstances. When it comes to the sugarcane industry, there was no question that it was in steady decline until my government intervened to put it on a better footing. For example, the amount of cane needed to produce sugar has been drastically reduced by making the process more efficient. The TCTs just a few years ago was about 13 or 14. Now it's just over 8. Friends, before my government took office, our sugar mills were literally falling apart. If you remember, the previous government engaged some Indian companies to refurbish those mills, but the result was not good. I had said it then that it was about $85 million we took and we threw into the ocean. It was a waste of money. So we had to direct additional resources to save those mills and make them more efficient. But you can't beat Winston, eh? To ensure the renewal of sugarcane leases, we spend about $9 million a year to assist those farmers whose leases have expired or are expiring. And we are paying a top-up of 4% above the 6% paid to the TLTB to provide landowners with an incentive to renew those leases. Friends, I know that there's been a lot of talk about not enough being done for sugarcane, especially in the wake of the 2 new bills that are now before a standing committee of Parliament. Certain opposition politicians and former politicians have been spreading a lot of misinformation about what is in those bills. They claim the bills that will take away the rights of cane farmers. They even say, I've seen statements that say forcing farmers into another girbidira, a ridiculous notion that insults the memories of those who genuinely suffered when they were first brought to Fiji. These people who have come before the committee have been making all sorts of wild comments because they don't understand it. Sometimes they don't want to understand because of politics. They have crossed a great deal of misunderstandings about what is it, these bills, what's in those bills, and they have done it in a manner that is very irresponsible for us. Unfortunately, I have to say to you today that a lot of the comments that have been made by people like Mahendra Chaudhary, and some of you still believe in him, Biman Prasad and others, are completely false. As usual, they are trying to politicize the sugarcane industry. And they are trying to use you for their own political gain. In particular, they're using you to try to drive a wedge between you and me, to create distrust, to create uncertainty. It is not going to work, because friends, you know, I've always been there for you. As I've said, no one has ever done anything like I've done in the last 10 years for you. Not only for the sugarcane farmers, for the everyday Fijians. I didn't do it for politics. I'm not here to win your votes, because I'm above. I want to make sure that you live the life as you want to. And as I said, I want to assure you all today that I will never use you in the way that they are using you for political gain. I will never exploit you. And I will always be straight with you. If something cannot be done, as I've told you many times, I will tell you so. I have and will be honest with you always. And I can assure you that those bills will not adversely affect you as individual cane farmers. In fact, it's done to assist you. And remember, always remember, whatever happens, that your right will always be protected under the Constitution. There are a couple of amendments that I will bring about in the bill. For example, registered growers will no longer have to pay a fee for having their farms registered or changing their records. There's been some issues raised on that. That provision will be removed. In relation to the Cane Growers Council, I know some of the politicians have been pushing for elections. It's funny that one of the politicians who changed it to what it is today changed it when he was the Minister for Finance in my government. Now he wants to change it back. But as you know, that as I said, some of the politicians have been pushing for elections. That has been very detrimental to the interests of the industry. Instead, we will expand the membership of the council. I'm sure that you all agree that a council is not politicized, will perform a lot better. So I will be increasing the membership of the council by ensuring that each district will be represented on the council. Furthermore, this expanded council will be required by law to consult all the growers through their sectors and districts on a regular basis. I want to read you that part again. The expanded council will be required by law to consult all the growers through their sectors and districts on a regular basis. One of the requirements that we want to put in the amendment to the bill is the Cane Growers Council must, on a regular basis, go out and consult all the growers. Friends, the other significant aspect of the bill that we are going to change is to remove the section on industrial disputes. As you know, since 1984, a provision was put in place to treat farmers like employees by bringing them under an industrial dispute mechanism. This was like going back to the colonial times, and the law has been in place since 1984. Unfortunately, this provision was carried through in the bill, but I will take it out. This means that if you decide not to plant or harvest your cane, that will be your choice. Whether it is a protest or not, we are empowering you to make the decision for yourself. If your neighbor wants to harvest and cultivate, that will be his choice. If you do not want to, that will be your choice. So friends, there are some of the changes we are making. I know some politicians are claiming that the tribunal is not independent, but that is simply not true. The tribunal is appointed by the Chief Justice. Some people are claiming that the current master ward will be changed as soon as the bills become law. Take it from me, it won't. That is also not true. The current master ward will continue. However, in any further negotiations regarding the master ward, the Growers' Council must have an input. The FSC must have an input. The public must have an input. And the law forces me as the minister or the minister to make sure that the new master ward cannot be implemented without the consent of the Growers' Council and the FSC. So all these protections are there for you in the law. Friends, let me now announce some of the other initiatives that we will be undertaking for the next few months to help you as cane growers. As chair of the TLTB, I have directed the TLTB and also the Lands Department to ensure that for all leases that are expiring, the lessee must be told 5 years in advance whether the lease is to be extended or not renewed. No longer will you be in danger of finding out just before the lease expires that you have to leave. This gives you certainty and enables you to make proper plans to find somewhere else to live. It is about giving leaseholders security and peace of mind to enable them to properly manage their affairs in their lives. But I've heard from TLTB that a lot of you whose leases have expired have not renewed them. Please do something about those. I also want to announce that the TLTB has set aside $500,000 to be matched by the government with another $500,000 to assist tenants who are disadvantaged, are behind in their rent, and are facing financial hardship. This includes the elderly without pensions and who are ill, tenants of all ages with a chronic illness, those who have lost their jobs, or those with disabilities. There is specific assistance for elderly cane farming tenants above the age of 60 with no other source of income other than cane proceeds. We will pay their leases for them. The Voreqe Lands Board, of which I'm the chairman, also agreed yesterday, 2 days before, to set aside another $1 million to assist those people who hold leases and who have been affected by Cyclone Winston. This will go towards the payment of their leases, and more details on this will be released in the next couple of weeks. I also want to announce today that government will provide replanting assistance to those farmers who have been affected by Cyclone Winston. As you know, my government has allocated $11 million to the replanting effort, and cyclone victims will be given first priority. Upon finalization of the total hectares damaged, we estimate that about $2,000 a hectare will be given to each recipient. Based on current figures, we are looking at about $9 million being given to cane farmers who have been affected by Cyclone Winston. This money will also be used to assist other cane farmers for their replanting on existing cane fields, not just fallow land, existing cane fields. Friends, I know one issue of great concern to many of you is the future of the Penang mill. which I said has been, which we all know has been severely damaged by Winston and had to be closed. We are currently assessing whether the Penang mill should be rebuilt as a syrup mill or the full sugar mill that it was before the cyclone. Many sugar producing countries now have smaller mills that produce only syrup. It reduces the time it takes for crushing, and the syrup is taken to a bigger mill where of course it is crystallized into sugar. We have been given some assistance by the Indian government to assess the best course of action, and we'll be making a decision on Penang in the next 2 months. But whichever way we go, a full mill or a syrup mill, it will not affect your ability to supply cane. And the work will commence immediately the assessment is completed. Regarding the damaged bridge at Penang, this is part of the reconstruction effort by the Fiji Roads Authority and will be completed before the next crushing season. As you know, while the Penang mill is out of action, we are providing the transportation costs to Rarawai for those growers who are used to supply their cane to Penang. And this is costing FSC more than $2 million. Friends, the burning cane or burning of cane is also a growing problem, and we are responding to the needs of those farmers whose crop is burned. If you are targeted, you can now report the burning to the nearest police post, and that report will be actioned from that post. You previously could not do that, but now you can. The FSC will also come to your assistance by working closely with you to take your cane to the mill as quickly as possible. I know there is also concern about the condition of cane access roads. With the increased allocation in the budget and together with the EU assistance, we are going to upgrade many more of those roads. We have upgraded 97% of cane access roads in Fiji. We have been very fortunate to secure the services of Mr. Vishnu Mohan to take over the chair of the FSC and assist the CEO and the FSC board. He will work very closely with farmers. Mr. Mohan, as you all know, is a distinguished banker who headed the Pacific regional operation of the ANZ Bank. He has also had experience as a commodity trader and is a familiar face in Fiji, having been the chairman of the Fiji Public Service Commission. I know some people have asked, he's only a banker, what does he know about sugar cane? But the modern day sugar industry isn't just about production, it's also about marketing. And we need to make a bigger effort to find new markets and give our growers the best possible return. It's also about running our mills efficiently. I'm convinced that Mr. Mohan has the skills to take our industry to another level. Part of his job will be to preside over an improvement in the way the FSC deals with people in the industry. I've heard a lot of complaints on this issue, and we will try and sort them out. And I look forward to him starting in his role on the 8th of August. So friends, with this announcement, I want to assure you all that the sugar industry is here to stay. Please don't get carried away with the negative stories the critics are peddling. I hear they are having pocket meetings and spreading a lot of misinformation, as if the whole world is going to crumble. But take no notice, we are here to support you, and we are here. We are determined to do so. My new permanent secretary, your guest, where are you? Please stand up. We'll be working very closely with the permanent secretary for agriculture. Jiten, is Jiten here? Not here. Jiten Singh, because as you know, there are great opportunities for other forms of food production in our sugar producing areas. Ladies and gentlemen, unlike my opponents, I don't talk the industry down. Never has talk been so cheap that when it comes from the lips of those has-been and opposition MPs, they have the same basic speech to blame me, blame the government, blame anyone but themselves. But it has been left to us to take up the challenge, and we intend to meet it. It is my obligation as your Prime Minister to do so. We are ending decades of neglect and mismanagement in the sugar industry, decades of racial politics, decades of manipulation by opportunistic politicians of ordinary cane farmers. My government is working as hard as it can to turn our industry around and guarantee its future. Guarantee your future and the future of your families. I want to thank you again for coming in big numbers this morning so I can address you and look forward to meetings as many of you as possible. And I thank you all.
I welcome you to Tavua district, sir. I'm a dairy farmer as well as a cane farmer, and I do come from very interior part of Tavua. And we have been transporting our cane on lorry. We are LT canes. That means we are not using any tram lines. And we have been approaching to Sugarcane Growers Council before. We have written a letter to them regarding the transportation cost, which has gone very high. And the area is so large that we can supply about 15,000 tons of cane from that area. But now at present, sir, we are not planting any cane due to the overcosting, sir. So my request to the new bill, whatever it is coming in place, sir, if something could be done to our farmers who are local migration is taking place. People are leaving the area and it's all state land. So and as well the roads, it is really a bad condition there, sir. If something can put them as well on them. And the other thing is that my area was one of the area which was badly affected by this cyclone Winston. As the area has been affected, so the production of the cane as well the root crops and other crops, there is now no income for the people. So like paying of rental, rents, the farmers will be facing difficulties in paying that rent. So my request to the Honorable Prime Minister and to you, sir, if our rent can be waived for this year, so that people can come back to their normal lives. Vinaka.
Thing is, the Prime Minister announced that there are provisions for that, both by TLTB and from government side too. For those people who are finding difficulties of paying the lease monies because of the cyclone, they'll get assistance. And that'll be rolled out in the next couple of weeks. All the details will be given out. People below particular income levels. Just one misconception. What you raised about the cost of cartage and all of that, that's a matter to be dealt with at the FSC level. Got nothing to do with the bill. You see, this is the problem. All these people have gone around and told you that everything to do with cartage, everything to do with FSC, the cost of labor, cane cutters is to do with the bill. Nothing to do with the bill. They are operational matters to do with FSC. That's an operational matter that we need to sort out with the FSC, the Cane Growers Council, the Ministry of Sugar. Nothing to do with the bill. Please understand that. So this exactly highlights the point that we've been trying to make. These politicians have been coming around, apart from us, have been coming around and telling you that every problem that you have, whether it's Penang mill, whether it's a cartage fee, whether it's a lorry driver or lack of cane cutters, is to do with the bill. Nothing to do with the bill. That's an operational matter. The bill is about streamlining the overall process. It's about the Growers Council, how it will be selected, the tribunal, as the Honourable Prime Minister has now said, you no longer will have the industrial dispute. You're free to do what you like. So there are the areas it addresses. It talks about the master award. Now, a lot of them have come around and said that this bill, if it's passed, will get rid of the master award. It won't. The master award will stay. If in the future the master award needs to be negotiated, then the law requires the cane growers council to have an input, the farmers to have an input, the public to have an input. There needs to be gazette, you need to have public meetings. The Minister for Sugar cannot approve any master award without your input. That's how any future master award will be negotiated. They've come around and told you it'll change.
My husband take out the loan from the bank, DSP, then he built the house. I'm living in Tokyo. The people in Tokyo,